once again, televiewers, you are on to the brief live on My Media Prime Television, your favorite bilingual program dedicated to the review of some striking newspaper headlines in the country. As usual, the program is interactive. We always have our guest with us. You can as well send us a message or comment on our Facebook page on what you think of the major headlines that the papers have for us in Cameroon as we proceed with the program. Audrey Zaza, as usual, is already in the studio to keep you glued to your television set in the French language. Bonjour, Audrey.
Good morning, Lasha Kingsley.
What are the French newspapers saying this morning?
Fidèles téléspectateurs de Débrief, bonjour et merci d'honorer notre rendez-vous habituel. Et tout de suite, on débute avec le journal La Capitale Publique et Cameroun Tribune qui, ce mercredi, parle du CHAN 2021 et renseigne que le sélectionneur des Lions de catégorie A officialisé mardi, donc hier, la liste des 23 joueurs nationaux à partir du 16 janvier prochain. En attendant, les équipes déjà présentes sur le sol hôte poursuivent leur préparation. Le journal rajoute que le reste des délégations est annoncé pour ce mercredi et jeudi. Cette information est à lire dans les pages 36 à 39 du quotidien à Capitaux Public. L'œil du Sahel de Guiba et Gatama dans son quotidien, dans son édition de ce matin, informe que plusieurs militaires des rangs de l'armée camerounaise sont poursuivis pour des faits de détournement de bétail dans le Mayoré, région de l'extrême nord. C'est à la page 4. Le même journal dans sa page 3 parle d'un condamné à mort à Tcholiri qui demande la grâce présidentielle. Poursuivons donc avec le Messager ce matin qui se focalise sur la téléphonie mobile et renseigne à sa une réseau brouillé entre le mine Postel et Cantel. D'après le journal, Minette Libom Li Keng reproche à Judith Yassandé d'avoir foulé au pied les directives de sa tutelle dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre du réseau mobile baptisé Blue. L'intégralité de cette information est alliée dans les pages 4. Dans la page 3 de ce même journal, notre confrère parle de la nouvelle affaire de Patricia Ndam Joya qui a interrompu la cérémonie d'installation du préfet dans le Noun hier. On termine donc l'exercice de ce jour avec Mutation qui parle du pacte colonial et titre Le désaccord de Paris. Le journal renseigne que l'ambassadeur de France Christophe Guilou se prononce sur le buzz autour des accords secrets avec le Cameroun. Lisez donc l'intégralité de cette information dans la page 11 de Mutation. Voilà, mesdames, messieurs, pour les tabloïds en langue française. Place aux tabloïds en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha Kingsley.
Thank you, Audrey. Let's begin this morning with the Median newspaper. The Median this morning revisit the scene in Muyuka, Mautu, in Muyuka subdivision of the southwest region of Cameroon. Military raid in Mautu, Muyuka. Army says terrorists, not women and children, were killed in the raid. Army spokesperson Colonel Atomfak issued a release on Monday giving clear accounts on what actually happened in Mautu in Muyuka subdivision of the southwest region of Cameroon. Meanwhile, Abu Bala Human Rights and Democracy Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa condemns the killings, quoting eyewitnesses as pointing fingers at the military to have committed the killings in Mautu in Muyuka subdivision of the southwest region of Cameroon. And tension at Camtel. Board chair cancels decision, or that's a decisions, Director General's appointment decision. Rather, the board chair has cancelled the decision that was taken by the Director General appointing some officials of that institution. You can get details of the story on page 2 of this edition of the Median newspaper. And News Watch this morning took interest in the Ngarbuh massacre. Defense Minister, according to the paper, expected at Yaoundé Military Tribunal next week as hearing reopens on the case of those who are being accused, or those who have been accused of having carried out the massacre. So Defense Minister of Cameroon will be in Yaoundé Military Tribunal Court next week as reviewed by News Watch newspaper. And U.S. Senate resolution doesn't grant Ambazonian independence. Those are the words of Honorable Ngala Gerard. He was reacting to the recent resolution passed by the Senate of America holding those responsible for the war in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. The stakeholders, the U.S. Senate passed a resolution concerning the war in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. And Gala Gerard is saying that the Senate of America, the resolution does not grant Ambazonian independence. Some of them were already jubilating as regarding the resolution passed by the American Senate. And on to the Guardian Post newspaper. The Guardian Post this morning focuses on the 33-man squad or team to defend the green, red, yellow come 16 of this month 2020 in Cameroon. We are talking about the Intermediate Lions to defend the flag or the colors of Cameroon ahead of this Chan 2021 in the country. Despite producing the best goalkeeper, according to the paper, one of the best defenders and attackers in the local championship, no Anglophones features amongst the 33 players that were selected to represent Cameroon in this year competition. The paper is decrying the sidelining of Anglophones in the national team to represent the nation in Chan 2021 in the country. And we take you now to Fumban, where the mayor of Fumban, Patricia Ndamjuya, disrupted the installation of the senior divisional officer for noon yesterday. We learned from the paper that her name was not in the list of those that were supposed to deliver speech or keynotes at the installation of the senior divisional officer for noon division. So she got annoyed and decided to disrupt the ceremony and insisted that her name must be put on the list of those to address the crowd during the installation ceremony. You can get details of that story in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. We end with Emergence newspaper. Emergence this morning taking you to the east region of the country. The paper says over 1,500 heavy-duty trucks are stranded. They are blocked at the borders. No way to get into the Central African Republic as the conflicts, the post-electoral conflicts there continue. And Territorial Administration Minister Paul Atanganji was at Ngarbuh recently, that's in the east region of Cameroon, to assess the situation of those trucks as well as the Cameroonians or those fleeing the conflict in Central African Republic. He held a meeting with local administrative authorities of that region to assess the level of security and to find out a possible way that these trucks can be accompanied into Central Africa, as some of the trucks are carrying perishable goods and fish. We are back in the studio to meet our guest, who is already there, Sir Mutaga Sivanus, Special Advisor to Professor Maurice Kamto. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you a lot, Mr. Lasha Kingsley. Thanks a lot, especially to your co-host, Audrey Sanza, for inviting me once more.
Yeah.
I want to thank the televiewers of my Media Prime and to tell them from my evaluation, this is one of the best English channels in Cameroon. And
you are just back from prison. You did not know what was happening.
I didn't know.
I quite remember when we were about to launch the channel, we came to see you. Unfortunately, you were arrested a few weeks after we launched the channel.
Yes, that's right, Mr. Lasha Kingsley. I can imagine right in the northern regions yesterday, a friend of mine called me, who is a teacher there, and told me that they are getting my Media Prime in the northern regions of Cameroon. I want to congratulate the managing board of this TV channel for the impeccable job they are doing. And to those of my fans and militants of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement watching this program, I want to tell them this is the best channel. You remain scotched to it, and you always have the best.
Okay, let's kick-start with this crisis that is ongoing at Cameroon Telecommunication, where the board chair has cancelled a decision taken by the general manager regarding appointments of some officials of that company.
Mr. Lasha Kingsley, it all boils down to bottlenecks, especially within our administration in Cameroon. And, appointments at times goes through networks, réseau, and when it doesn't tie with the general criteria, I think there could be an overhauling so that they could arrive at a consensus. I don't look at it as any major event. I think that it's just a way of expressing maybe grievances against
sources are saying that the present the conflicts stem from the son to the president, the city minister of post and telecommunication, who was removed from a juicy position, and he had to make calls on calls, as we are reading from other sources, and the decision was changed.
That is exactly what I told you. That's exactly what I told you, that appointments at time in our nation goes through networks, and generally they do not tie with the normal criteria for appointment. So you can imagine it, because my father is a minister, my auntie is the governor, and all the like. We have a network of top government officials. We think we can just occupy a key post in one company, and even if we do not fulfill the general requirements. So I think that it's an issue of fulfilling the requirements to occupy such a post. And Madame Sunday has the Anglophone culture. She's of the Anglophone origin, and she understands that with the Anglophone, we don't pick somebody's mediocre and place at a particular post to manage it. So she might have overhauled it, and then irregularities and what that, they should go into thorough examination.
Oui, mais justement, on a l'impression qu'il y a pas vraiment de solidarité entre les pouvoirs publics dans le pays. Qu'est-ce qui se passe réellement?
Cette solidarité manque à cause des réseaux. Le parrainage, je vous en prie, c'est juste ça le problème. Vous savez, si aujourd'hui dans notre pays, vous n'êtes pas parrainé par quiconque, vous ne pouvez pas accéder à un poste élevé dans la fonction publique. Cela relève de la volonté de certaines élites, surtout du gouvernement, de rester au pouvoir pour l'éternité. Et si vous voyez ce que Mme Sonde vient de faire, je vous ai dit de la culture anglophone, les anglophones, y compris moi, j'ai eu à travailler dans des entreprises où j'étais le directeur. Je ne peux pas juste accepter que l'un de mes frères soit promu à un poste supérieur parce qu'il est mon frère. Nous regardons la rentabilité. Est-ce que c'est rentable? Parce qu'aujourd'hui, servir à Kamté, c'est servir les Camerounais. Ce n'est pas de servir l'intérêt d'une famille. Est-ce que les nominations ont été scrupuleusement évaluées pour voir s'il remplit tous les critères? Parce que si il arrive à ce que on a
but at that the board chair could be right, because when the decision is signed, the board chair with the I don't know, the people who are managing Kamte, they have to sit and validate the decision. When you're appointed, you don't just take off function. You can be working and then they come and validate. If they don't validate, then you will have to step aside. But this particular one has to do with cancellation of the decision, not refusing that the person was not validated.
Mais en tant qu'acteur politique, quel est selon vous, qu'est-ce que vous pensez des nominations, entre les nominations et comment on appelle ça, les nominations and appointments? What do you really think about these two? According to you, what is best for the people?
The best thing to be done is going through their profiles, their record, their track records, their feedback. Because before you have been appointed to a higher post, they have gone through.
I mean for the Cameroonian population, like what is best? Is it through appointment or through
elections? Let's put it that way.
There are certain domains of life in which it would not necessarily go through appointment, especially when it has to do with the mayor, when it has to do with local officials that need to manage certain territories in our country. But when it goes to appointment within corporate organizations, boards, you find that it has to do with the competencies of all those who are in place. So,
can this explain why we are having the issues we are having today with Cameco?
With Cameco, like I told you, Cameco is dying simply because you find that those who are appointed is because of relationship. What the person who has appointed them aims at gaining through that appointment. Will he have to receive something from you every end of month to add upon what he's gaining elsewhere? And if you cannot fulfill those criteria, you find that even if you were the best expert in the world, you would not be appointed to manage a component of the magnitude of Cameco. So it boils down to what we say, in our nation, they always want to get people who are mediocre and they place in posts of responsibility so that they can easily be telecommanded, they can easily be manipulated for the interests of a minority that is so egocentric.
Okay, you're a politician. Let me take you now to Fumban. There's this issue, conflict we always having coming from Fumban, the Noon Division. Yesterday we saw the mayor of that locality disrupting the installation of the senior divisional officer for the Noon Division on grounds that her name was not on the list of those that were supposed to address the ceremony.
It is regrettable, Mr. Lasha Kingsley, knowing that we are in the era of decentralization, though decentralization does not mean federalism, because decentralization simply means transfer of powers to local authorities. But if the government tells us that decentralization will solve the problem of centralization, hyper-centralization in our country, we expect that the local officials who are elected by the people, because they hold the people's mandate, they have to be respected. So if you have to look at the case of Fumban in the Noon division, you find that the mayor there is an opposition from the opposition party, that's the UDC, and we know the antecedents between the mayor and the outgoing senior divisional officer. So the senior divisional officer wanted to use this opportunity to settle scores, to tell Madame Ndamdoya that I am the boss. We can take decisions here and you have no say. It boils down to what we always say, that the
But is it supposed to be that way?
It is not supposed to be like that. It is as a result of the excesses of some of the subdivisionals, divisional officers, as you notice in our country.
When we see a traditional ruler of that magnitude, I'm talking of Senator Mbonjoya, going ahead to to build a structure he was building without consulting the mayor of the locality. How do you expect other people to really respect the mayor of the municipality when the traditional ruler of his own community cannot respect him?
Mr. Lasha, it boils down to the violation of constitutions and laws in our nation. It's from the head. That's the foundation that has been laid down by the regime in place, in which once you belong to the ruling CPTM, you think you are above the law. Because I don't expect that a senator who is supposed to teach the best example would have to do such a thing without consulting the mayor for the Fumban municipality. Normally they were supposed to work hand in glove because they are supposed to be collaborators. He would have to submit the project, and then the lady would have to send experts to evaluate whether the kind of structure that will constructed there would tie maybe the technicalities of the project has to be evaluated by experts who are from the council.
But
because
her problem is was the authorization that.
Normally, authorization will come after evaluation of the personnel and maybe the technical board that will be put in place to set up that structure. So she would not accept a building that may be mounted up and then tomorrow it collapse and kill people in her municipality. It would be that she has not been doing her job. So it's as a result of the incessant quest by the ruling CPDM to rubbish other opposition parties so as to come back to the one-man party that was before 1990.
Okay, and we hope peace return in Fumban, in Noon Division.
Peace will only return in Fumban,
West region of the country.
In Fumban, because I know Madame Ndamjoya. She's the kind that does not let it go, especially when she finds that her rights have been trampled upon.
Avec le RDPC en place et l'UDC en place, est-ce que cette guerre-là, ça pourra vraiment s'arrêter?
Ils ont l'intérêt à s'entendre parce que c'est pour le bien des Camerounais qui se trouvent à Fumban. Aujourd'hui, nous prenons la paix et l'unité nationale. Si entre les élites, ils ne s'entendent pas, comment le bas peuple peut s'entendre? Parce que c'est l'élite qui parle toujours. Le RDPC parle, nous sommes partis de paix, 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 paix. La paix doit être démontrée au terrain.
Mais il y a quand même un peu d'ambiguïté dans les... Enfin, quand je dis pouvoir public, je ne sais pas si je devrais dire pouvoir public. On a le sultan, on a les sultanes, on a le maire, on a le gouverneur. Tout ça là, est-ce que ça ne crée pas une sorte de confusion dans la gouvernance?
Ça crée une sorte de confusion dans le gouvernement tant qu'il n'y a pas un consensus. Parce qu'ils peuvent avoir un consensus, ils s'assoient sur une table de discussion. Chacun connaît ses limites et on respecte les fonctions de tout un chacun.
Sauf qu'il y en a qui ne respectent pas
Oui, parce que la loi n'est pas applicable dans notre pays. Si le système...
That's an overstatement. How can you say laws are not
Non, je dis ça honnêtement parce que si cela est fait et Madame Damjoya saisit peut-être le tribunal doit...
Le procureur était là the day that she
voilà ce
wanted
qui se passe.
to stop the construction of that edifice. He challenged the procureur general to take up his responsibility and protect her.
Monsieur,
we saw what the
Mr. Lasha, you know that these procureur generals and even other people that are helpless faced with the CPDM because, you know, there is no total separation of power in a country. There's no total separation. In a country, if you go to the constitution, you find that there are only two arms of government. You have the executive and the legislature that are functioning. The judiciary is not independent. It depends on the executive. And at the executive,
how can you say that Mrs. Kawala, Madam Kawala just won the Minister of Territorial Administration in court? She won at the
she herself was very surprised.
It's a rare exception. It's a rare exception. No. It's used like that. Just
she was surprised herself.
Let me tell you what happened with the militants of the Cameroon Renaissance movement who are in prison. Many of them went on for unconditional release, what they call habeas corpus. Yes. It could not happen. Out of the over 300 cases that were arrested in 2019, you can imagine that not even one was released through habeas corpus, simply because they saw that it was a political case. Normally, political cases can be examined by the independent judiciary in a nation, and if they find that the charges against them are ungrounded, they have to release them. But since they are dependent on the executive to tell them what to do, if that's the gospel truth, if Madame Kawala had to win the case between her and Minad, it's simply because it was so flagrant. If the judiciary had to rule it in favor of the minister, it would show completely that they are under pressure from the executive.
Okay, let's end with this other headline. Cameroon Tribune this morning took interest in the 23-man squad for Chan 2021 in Cameroon. The players who will be defending the colors of Cameroon, the green, red, the yellow, and there is a worry that Anglophones have been sidelined, like the Guardian Post did mention Anglophones in all the players that we have, despite the best goalkeeper, the best attackers, and whatever that Anglophones have produced during the local league. None of them were nowhere to be found on the list.
Mr. Lasha, I even want to blame. I want to ask this question: how are our boys going to perform? Because we saw that in 2019, 2020, right even up to this very present moment, there are always crises between bottlenecks. The local elite championship was not going on well. The Feka Food, Wahala, and other like, you see. But now, coming back...
Some Cameroonians are even accusing our authorities of being the big separatists, that they are the ones separating this country with this kind of issues.
It is glaring.
Mais est-ce qu'il ne faut pas s'interroger sur les critères de sélection?
How can Anglophones produce the best goalkeeper, the best attackers, and then the team, those who are going to represent Cameroon, those very Anglophones are not found on the list?
Mr. Lasha Kingsley, I said in this nation, all is managed on how much I would gain from you if you are pushed forward to perform this particular task. They don't depend on your talent. They have guys that they have just picked, and you see they'll go and rubbish Cameroon at the Chan, come back. We are the one hosting that rendezvous. Let's wait and see. I'm not a prophet of doom, but I tell you that these players that have been selected are those who have networks. Because I cannot imagine that
people sacrifice the entire nation for networks.
That is exactly what. That's why 50 years after independence, Cameroon is still what it is today. How many expressways can we talk of in our nation? You find that day in, day out, there are contracts that have been awarded. Take, for example, the Simbalène Airport, Yaoundé. just maybe it's about let's say it's about 35, 40 kilometers, but we use more than 42 billion CFA. Whereas if we go into the International Monetary Fund statistics, it's something that is not supposed to cost up to 20 or 21 billion. So like I told you, it's network. And then coming back, if Anglophones are being sidelined in the selection, I think it's as a result because they don't have anybody up there who is...
Non, mais est-ce que ce n'est pas les critères de sélection?
Ce n'est pas les critères de sélection, je dis c'est le problème de réseau. Je dis bien, dans un pays normal, comme ailleurs, on ne devait même pas compter sur les relations. Ça devait être une affaire de talent.
I emerge best.
Une affaire de talent.
Je
dis aujourd'hui, chez nous au Cameroun, c'est ce que nous déplorons. On ne valorise plus le talent, on valorise les réseaux. Combien je peux gagner si je te place ici? C'est juste ça. Et vous voyez le pays en train de sombrer tous les jours.
Okay, I'm sorry, we have to end here today. Televiewers, we have gradually come to the end of the program, Audrey.
Madame, Messieurs, merci d'avoir suivi, merci d'avoir été des nôtres. Restez scotchés pour plus sur My Media Prime Television. Tout de suite après, c'est le Flash Info avec Fon Quinta. Merci.
Thank you for watching. The program was produced by Tebon Christian with the assistance of Tini Ayon. For presentation, we have been Audrey Zaksa and myself, Lasha Kingsley. Tomorrow is another day. Bye-bye.